Hey everybody, welcome back. Glad to have you guys here. What's up, Nguyen Dang? What's going on? What is going on? How you guys doing today? Yeah, so not really much of like a super discussion today. I'm still kind of winding down from like, the whole vacation thing and everything like that. So yeah, I just figured a little light discussion to start off things, get the end of the week, kind of deal with the weekend and then start off fresh on Monday. But yeah, how you guys doing? How are you guys doing? Technoid in the house. What's up, man? What's going on? Yeah, so I figured, for today's discussion, we're just going to talk about if you can trust, tech reviews in 2025, if you can trust the content creators behind them. Agendas, stuff. So it's a free for all. There's no wrong answers. There's no wrong feelings. I just want people to kind of like air out that type of stuff, get it off your chest or whatnot. Because it's a very touchy subject. There are a lot of tech creators these days. So much tech creators out there. And if you hadn't noticed, every tech creator has been impacted with this sudden decline in viewership, CTR, all those things. And it's, is it really the fact that, people are catching on to some of these creators who are in fact, sponsored or biased or whatever the case may be. So we'll have that discussion in today's, topic and everything like that. As well as, just like a open Q&A as to how everything went with, the trip out to Oklahoma, as well as Dallas, Texas. I was in Dallas, Texas for a little bit for Medieval Times. I did post a little vlog that I shot and recorded everything on the Pixel 10 and posted that video for people to see. Of course, there was a lot of driving and stuff like that. There were moments where it was like, I wanted to vlog it, but it was like there was so much family discussion stuff that, my family tends to be a little bit private about certain things, so I didn't like record a lot of interactions or anything like that. But the Medieval Times thing, I figured that was pretty cool. So hopefully, if you guys caught that video, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. What do you think of an ad on for Helium Mobile for unlimited talk text for $5 a month? I mean, that was probably one of the things with Helium Mobile that I think, people in Miami really enjoyed. So if they're bringing something like that, in the coming future or whatever, then that's pretty cool. $5 is pretty cheap. So to me, it's like if you're paying $5 a month for phone service, to me, it really wouldn't matter if it was 28 gigs of high speed, 30 gigs of high speed, 35 gigs of high speed. If it's not fully unlimited, like Metro by T-Mobile, Cricket, or any of those prepaids, or even T-Mobile, Verizon, or AT&T, those postpaid, I think it still would just be a pretty decent deal for $5. However, Helium Mobile is on some huge backlash from a lot of early adopters of Helium Mobile, with the fact that they voted to do away with, mapping rewards and earning crypto, right? I mean, that was one of the things that I guess to those people felt like it was more of a unique phone service that dealt in crypto and was all about crypto. And even though those who support Helium Mobile will say, well, it's still about, earning crypto. It's like, nah, not really. Because the only way you're earning crypto now is if you actually buy in to their hotspots, which is, I think, is the reason why, technically, why they did that. They did it because there weren't a lot of people deploying hotspots. I mean, I live in like the 5th largest city in the United States of America, according to statistics. And, when I look to see if there's like, Helium Mobile hotspot service and stuff like that I can connect to, there's hardly any. And then there were like 5 or 6 in downtown Phoenix that have been inactive for a little bit. So lots of Helium customers are still depending on the T-Mobile network for connection, and that's one of the things that Helium Mobile is trying to do away with, is to try to have more people dependent on the Helium network, is what they're calling it, peer-to-peer sharing. and less usage on T-Mobile's network. Because if they could, in a perfect world, if everyone had deployed hotspot, whether outdoor or indoor, and they wouldn't need T-Mobile as a backup, they can literally end their MVNO agreement with T-Mobile and just solely rely on the power of people sharing. That was that's their whole mantra of everything. And so I think that's why they did away with earning crypto for mapping. So now, I mean, you can stay on the legacy plans if you want to, but when you have mapping turned on, you're not earning anything for mapping throughout the day. The only way you're going to earn that is if you're on their newer plans, which is the Air and Infinity plan. Those two plans, which is why, they've cut a promo for existing Helium customers that if you switch from legacy to, say, Infinity, the Infinity plan's $30 a month. You'll get 12 months of that service for $15, so half off, as a way of just welcoming you to migrating to their newer plans. But still, there's still a lot of backlash on that. So I mean, if they're coming up with a $5 unlimited plan, they're just also kind of appease to those people who may be stepping away, because the feedback that I've gotten on my video discussions about Helium Mobile and doing all this, comments I've seen, people are talking about switching over to, Visible by Verizon, getting away from Helium and going somewhere else. Helium had something very unique going with them, and that was the fact that they kind of delved into the crypto scene and everything. But now, kind of seeing what they're doing, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes, because while there are people who do complain about it, there are also, there are also people who don't mind the change up and are okay with it. So I really should just open the. I'm probably gonna do that right now. So if it seems a little glitchy, it's because I forgot to open up the chat on my screen. I'm looking at it on my phone right now. I have one of my phones just up here with the chat going, but then the advertisement and everything like that just kind of gets in the way. So I was ill prepared this morning to go live, and then there my dog goes 5-star security alarms. They're please excuse my dogs if you guys hear them barking. Chihuahuas for one. For two, I put in a gate on the stairway up, and so it blocks them from coming upstairs, because I want to keep all the dogs downstairs. And so yeah, they don't know how to handle that. So they're every so often when they hear someone talking up here, they want to bark. Literally want to bark. And it's just oh, okay, So yeah, the add-on is only on the free plan. Yeah, so the zero plan, which essentially makes it $5, right? And it doesn't surprise me that they would do something like that. It really doesn't. A lot of people have pretty much called them out and saying how long would a free plan be free? And yeah, it's just one of those things where it's Helium keeps making a lot of changes, and some people just don't want or don't like change like that. What was it? It wasn't that long ago that they literally changed up from their legacy plans over to there we go. Come on, give me the thing so I can pop the chat out. There we go. That's what I'm trying to do. Pop the chat out. Let it load, and close that out. There we go. Perfect. All right, cool. Now that I got a chat out, now I can just close this one out. Just leave it as is. Yeah, people just don't like change like that. So that is what it is. So when it comes to tech reviews in 2025 from your largest creators to your smallest creators, do you guys trust them? Let me put that as the poll of today. So I'll start a poll right now. And you guys can go ahead and answer that in the chat already if you guys want to. Oh my God. I've been on vacation. I've been so relaxed that everything is so chill. So it's just my norms. I'm not falling back into my norms quickly enough. Most creators in the tech space. Where are you? There you are. All right, so I started a poll. If you guys want to go ahead and answer that, that's cool. Put it in live chat mode. Anyways, yeah. So that's the thing. Do you guys trust, from the largest to the smallest creators? Do you guys trust them? Do you guys trust their opinions? Do you guys trust their, advice? I think what really kind of just spawned this for me was, I was watching some YouTube shorts when I woke up this morning, right? Woke up at about like 4:58 this morning. It's about 5 o'clock. And checked some emails, checked some messages and stuff like that. Went on, YouTube, fumbled through some shorts as I was getting myself up for the day. And so I came across, a shorts video. And the video was basically describing the iPhone 17. It was an iPhone 17 Pro Max video, actually. And it had to do with the orange color. And the person was like, hey, they feel weird pulling out their orange iPhone 17 Pro Max to tap to pay. So, for a long time, they brought their wallet and brought their physical debit card to do tap to pay. And I was like, okay, like that's kind of weird, And then so they go on to tell people, and this is where it got me to make this live stream. They said, make the right choice, and they held up the silver version of the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and I'm like, make the right choice. Like, people are gonna buy stuff based upon what they want. Some people like that orange iPhone 17 Pro Max. Some people want their phones to be so flamboyant that you can see it from across a crowded room. There are people who are like that. There are people who are subtle, and they prefer a very more neutral color that doesn't draw too much attention to it. There are people who skin their phones to have a completely customized look just to get that shock factor from other people who look at it and say, hey, that's a 17 Pro Max, but I've never seen that color before. And then they come up close and then you're like, oh yeah, it's a skin. I skinned my phone and did this graphics on it or whatever. People and smartphones, it's so crazy because, smartphones were just meant to be like a communications device, and access to the World Wide Web has now become also, a fashion signal. Has become your all-in-one toolkit for content creators. It's just it's become a lot more than what it was intended to be, and even to that aspect of it, now there's this thing that when one does it, the other one does it. Like, for instance, I see a lot of creators starting to talk about the OnePlus 15. Exciting, right? This phone's coming out later on this month. It was already announced in China. We already got visuals of what it's going to look like. It pretty much looks like the OnePlus 13S, which is a nice looking phone, honestly. Like, design wise, pretty nice. iPhone-esque, yeah, definitely a cop of the iPhone, right? They changed up their silent switch button. I mean, like, I have a OnePlus 9. I enjoy that little toggle switch sliding up to silence the phone, sliding down, for sound, sliding it, like one click up to the middle to set it in vibrate mode. Makes it easier than having to unlock the phone, go into volume, and put it in silent mode, right? You got a little switch that does it. And with I believe the OnePlus 15, they are in fact replacing that button with like an action button, which is very similar. So phones are just how to put it. They're in a way like just I don't know, just being weird. Fashion statements, all that other stuff. Anthony, what's up? What's going on? I don't know. Well, anyways, so people watch these videos, and some people kind of hang on what their favorite content creator says. Content creator says go Pixel, they go Pixel. Content creator says go iPhone, they go iPhone. You know, and so then it left me thinking, like, how do we trust these people, or do we even trust these people? I mean, like, you know, I was also on Reddit and I was seeing people talking about it. You know, like in the Google Pixel, you know, Reddit community. I was reading what people were saying about certain things that was going on, and one of the things that seems to be a very popular thing is like, you know, this person is biased for this brand, and then someone will be like, yeah, like MKBHD, you know, which is a pretty well-known, pretty big tech creator here on YouTube, or they will throw out another name, you know, and it's like, is there a distrust for all content creators? Is there a distrust for certain content creators? Like where do people draw the line? Where they feel like a creator's being genuine versus, you know, having a hidden agenda behind what they say. I mean, I get it. You know, that's probably, in my entire years doing YouTube, that's probably been the one thing that I've been afraid of. And that could have been what held me back from growth for so many years, right? Because, you know, most people would expect that if I was doing videos, if I was doing content since 2011, that, you know, technically, like most creators that do that usually reach, like, you know, 100,000 subscribers and stuff like that. I'm not even close to that, right? I'm only at 14,000 subscribers, and my channel grows very, very slowly. And, you know, I think one of the biggest reasons that I've been afraid to grow that big is if I lose the trust of people. To me, trust from you guys is more important than being YouTube famous. I would rather have people, you know, come and check out my videos and hear what I got to say on a subject and kind of formulate their own opinions based on what they've heard from me and from other content creators out there. But it's more important that, you know, for me, that people hear what I'm saying and understand I'm being genuine with what I'm saying, versus, you know, having 1 million subscribers and maybe 80% of the people that watch my videos not actually trust me, because that would totally suck. Because I'm not one of those types of people that's just gonna let you guys fall into the pit and, you know, just kind of get, you know, screwed over. Like I wouldn't do that to you guys, and I would hate to see that happen. And so if there's something that I know that would, you know, be kind of like damaging or hurtful to you guys, if you guys went into this deal or went into this thing blindly, like, I will make a video kind of talking about it. And how, like, if you guys don't trust me, then how, you know? Trust is earned, not given. Yeah. But, you know, trust also kind of, like, even if you're still being genuine, can still fall away, especially when people kind of like take to the assumptions, you know, just based on how big a creator is, right? Maybe MKBHD is not sponsored by these people. Maybe he is. We don't really know. We can assume everything, you know, ducks can line up in a row that kind of seems that way, but then, you know, we would all be in shock if he just, like, pulled the veil off his whole entire operations and we find out he's not. You know, how many times has many people assumed lots of things and then turned out to be wrong in the end? And so that's the thing. Like, I just want to know people's mindset on content creators, large from the largest to the smallest. Do you guys actually trust us? Is there a specific degree of trust you guys give? Like I said, majority of everything really is just trying to help you guys make a conscious buy. At least for me, I can only speak for myself. I don't know if there's any agendas behind other people out there. I know people, you know, they do have like affiliate links. You know, at the end of the day, a lot of content creators do this, and they love doing this, and they love doing this as a way for them to provide for themselves. You know, I think in my entire, you know, time on YouTube, I've probably had, you know, two or three sponsors, I would say. One of them was the, you know, the Helium mobile deal, which I was happy to do. I think, what was the other one? Well, it wasn't really a sponsor, but it was a request to review. I did the Tozo T6 earbuds, which I love those things, and they're still what I use from time to time, but more often than not, mostly used. And then New Mobile at one time sent me a phone to review. So I mean, I do get some stuff here and there. And I do make it open with you guys to know, like, if it's something that was gifted to me, given to me to review or whatever. So you guys know that, it's something that I have to, like, that I talk to people about reviewing, making deals with them and whatnot. Most of the things that you guys see on my channel is paid out of pocket, right? And that's most, in fact, all the Pixel phones are paid out of pocket. Like, I was never part of Team Pixel and never was invited to Team Pixel. And I still thank a lot of you guys that were in support of it. I still thank Technoid for, Tito for Team Pixel movement that he was doing back in the day, because he was pretty, like, annoyed why every year when they picked new members for Team Pixel, I was never one that was picked. And, I'll never know the reasonings why 1,000 Heads, which was a marketing company for Team Pixel, why they never, chose me. And I don't really care to know why. Like, it's not something that lives in my head rent free or anything like that. I know that the whole testing of the, Google Pixel things is back. If you are a Pixel super fan and connected with the Pixel super fan group on Discord, they have put it out there. They chose 15 people that they are going to trust with upcoming Pixel devices. Key thing is that, of course, you got to sign an NDA, so non-disclosure. You have to use the phone. You can't take the phone out of its protective case. The case not only protects the phone from damage, it also hides the design of the phone, which is crazy. So not even the user who's testing out that future Pixel phone is going to actually really know what it looks like, unless the case can come off and they've popped open the case to take the phone out to look at it so they can give feedback on the design and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, today most people can't, they can't keep things under wraps, right? That's why, Google Pixels in the last, like, 2 or 3 years were like the most leaked phone out there. Knowledge is power. Keep on. I got you. But yeah, it's very, it's a very, very odd thing. So, I think someone was talking about it on a video that I watched, on my time out on vacation when I had some downtime back at the, I actually stayed at my dad's house. I'll tell you guys a funny story about that. But anyways, so yeah, I was watching some videos. Someone was talking about it, and yeah, you got to apply. So I guess they put out a link where you can apply for it on the Discord group for Pixel Superfan, and then I think one of the things they ask you is if you're part of the media or, a blog site, blogger, or YouTube, right? I was like, oh, so even if I wanted to apply for that, they'd probably turn me down because I'm a YouTuber. Because remember, Team Pixel disbanded, and a lot of the focus for marketing has been put to social influencers, not tech reviewers on YouTube. They were straying away from that. And obviously the strategy is working because tech creators only reach majority of the people who want to know about a specific phone or want to know about tech, right? Social influencers have a much broader and wider audience because there are people that may be interested in traveling and ends up coming across a social media influencer that travels in destinations to, food vlog. It's not their forte to just specifically look for food, but it has to do generally about traveling and stuff. And so they come across. The only way someone's going to find my content is if they Google Pixel 10, or Google Pixel 9a or, 8a, 7a or whatever, that's when they'll find it. I mean, if someone like searches, best, coconut cocktail drinks in the Bahamas, my Pixel video is not going to pop up, So, yeah, it's a very interesting case point. When it comes to being a content creator about tech. Sometimes I do want to kind of step out of my norms. I do know that the tech space is kind of like, in a hard position right now. Of course, I'm not abandoning it. I know some people that had like jumped, and done other things. I mean, I guess you could say I kind of did that to a degree, just because me and B-Tech, we have the Deathlock podcast where we talk about pro wrestling. And so, we podcast on there, which is kind of like a palate cleanser for us to kind of step out of tech for a little bit and talk about something else. That's about it. But like, I don't have any like other side adventures completely different. I mean, I have a shorts channel that's like dedicated short form content for tech. And yeah, that's the only two channels I really like run and operate. A lot of the wrestling stuff's on the podcast, and just things I do in my day-to-day life is on Instagram. That's where I am sharing little moments of my life. If anyone actually gives a shit, and no one gives a shit, it really don't matter to me, but I just, I share on there. Plus 2 family follows me on there. Yeah, so let's see. We got 80% of votes on the poll right now. 5 votes, 80% say yes, they trust content creators in tech. 20% says no. Okay, so I'll leave that poll going. Anyways, yeah, so interesting enough, video should be dropping here in the next 2 minutes. I set it to members only. So yes, if you are a member of my channel, then you guys already know I do post content specifically for members only that does shift over to become open for anyone to watch. There are other content that is specifically member only that stays member only. That is, obviously for subscribing as a channel member. So a video is about to go live in like 1 minute. We're just talking about the Pixel 10 and just the shock of what's going on with the Pixel 10. And you guys can check that video out later on and, hear what I have to say about that. But I think, one thing that I didn't say in that video that I forgot to mention that is, probably one of the big points about it. I mean, I glazed over the subject, but not really in-depth focused. So if people didn't know today, for those people who are not techies and not nerds, they hear about the Google Pixels, they heard they take good photos. But I think majority of the reason that people are buying Pixels is for AI. So even some people don't trust AI, don't care for AI, there is people out there that think AI is cool. And they know that, honestly, and I'm not, not trying to be mean to those people out there, but Gemini AI is top notch on the smartphone today. Galaxy AI is based on that premise of Gemini. Siri 2.0 is actually based on Gemini, if you guys didn't know that. So Gemini is really kind of like enrooted into a lot of things that's, with mobile smartphones and artificial intelligence. So that's a very interesting thing there. So it's like, because if you look at iPhones right now, they're, Apple Intelligence is dependent on ChatGPT. That makes any sense to anybody out there. If you didn't know that, now you know. But the future of Siri lies with Gemini. So very interesting thing. So with that being said, that's what people are buying Google Pixels for these days. The cameras is like an added bonus to them, but the AI capabilities of a Pixel is what they're going for. And I know people have made this argumentative point about the Tensor G5 and everything like that. And you know what? Let's just be real about a lot of things, okay? Snapdragon, 8. Snapdragon Elite 8 Gen 5 or whatever it is, right? The Snapdragon 8 Elite. The benchmark scores that thing throws out there, nothing you do on your phone will ever have to reach that peak level of performance. Okay? Does not require massive performance to open Facebook or Instagram or Threads or whatever social platform you're on. It doesn't require that much. Watching video in 4K doesn't require that much of a peak performance. So all those benchmark scores, honestly, whether you like what I'm going to say or not, I'm going to say it, but those benchmark scores mean diddly squat. They don't mean a dang thing at all whatsoever. They don't. And Tensor is not trying to be the most powerful chip for the all-in-one chip. They are the best chip for AI execution, pretty much. That's what it is. At the end of the day, that's what it is. Love it or hate it, that's what the Tensor is all about. Okay? So when you take those benchmark scores and say, oh my God, this is a pathetic chip. Well, it's not so pathetic when it can execute a lot of AI things that even other phones have a hard time being able to do on a consistent basis. For everything that I've done on my Pixel 10 when it comes to AI has been consistent. It is what it is. Love it or hate it, it is what it is. Oh, this morning is like a very busy morning for me. Friday. I'm like getting like a ton of messages and stuff like that going on and everything. So it's like, yeah. And then also later on today, video dropping, quick unboxing of Pixel Watch 3. I actually picked up, I'm actually wearing it right now. Pixel Watch 3. The Pixel Watch 1 is up there on the shelf. And course, you guys know I dropped a video telling you guys that the OG Pixel Watch is not getting Wear OS 6. So yeah, kind of, it's already in its end of life. It's, no more major software update on it. Everything else will probably just be like, either some security patches and things like that, but nothing major. So Pixel Watch 1 that you guys gifted me, because that watch was a gift from the community. I saw Carlos's video of him planning to get the Pixel 7 and get the Pixel Watch because Team Pixel kept overlooking me. So he was like, the community was going to be my Team Pixel guys. And you guys came together and you bought the Pixel 7, you bought the Pixel Watch, and he sent it to me as a surprise. If you guys don't know about that, if you've just recently subscribed to the channel, you didn't know about that, you can look through my live streams and you'll see the live stream where he co-hosted with me on my podcast and had me unbox his package that he sent me. I thought I was getting a shirt. He had a shirt. He had a custom shirt made. And I thought it was funny. It was like, it's a gag shirt, right? So, I mean, it could be a little offensive when you're saying, use a broke bitch, and then it has, credit card on it or whatever. But I thought it was funny. So, I always wanted one. He was like, I sent you one and some other stuff in there. So I saw the shirt. I pulled the shirt out. I was like super excited for the shirt. And he's just looking at me on the podcast and was like, hey man, look in there. There's something else in there. And I'm looking in the box and I see, the Pixel 7 on the side of the box, and pulled the phone out and looked at it like, oh, Pixel 7. And I'm unboxing it on the live stream. And he's just looking at me. He's like, there's something else in the box. And I look in and push a couple of the protective little, packing in there, and found the Pixel Watch. And so I've been using that Pixel Watch since, compared it to other smartwatches and fitness bands that I have, and just continue to use it. The Pixel Watch 2 came out. I kept using the Pixel Watch 1 because it kept getting, Wear OS updates. And then the Pixel 3 came out. Well, Pixel Watch 3, sorry. And still use it. Now the Pixel Watch 4 is out. And then it was confirmed that the Pixel Watch 1 would not get Wear OS 6, which has a lot of the Material 3 expressive treatments on it and everything like that. So, I was in the market looking around, and I was gonna, wait a little bit, probably until like next year. And then I found somebody that had a Pixel Watch 3 for sale for $75. Read the description of why they were selling it, because I bought it on OfferUp. And so I read the description of it. The person was just like, the watch is brand new, never really been used. And I was a little bit sketchy about it. So yeah, I brought something with me when I went out to go meet. Because, $75, when I look at all the other on the used market for a Pixel Watch 3, they're roughly about $250, almost $300 for like the LTE model. Mine's is not the LTE model. At least I don't think it is, because yeah. Anyways, and so yeah, I was like a little bit sketchy about it. I had my wife hold the money. I was like, she stayed at a pretty good distance while I was checking out the device. And when I met the person, I met Gabby. She's pretty cool. And I was just asking her, like, why are you selling it? And she told me, like, she's more of an iPhone person. She gave Pixel a shot. She wasn't too keen on it, didn't like it, so she wanted to sell the watch. She already sold the phone that she got. Wanted to sell the watch. And I was like, $75? Are you sure? Like, I kind of felt bad. And she was like, yeah, $75, So double checked it, picked it up out. Which is something I'll tell you guys, if you guys are going to buy something on OfferUp, test it. Always test it. Sometimes people feel like a little pressure, like they should just like look at the phone and be like, oh, okay, it's the phone. Here's the money. No, test it. Turn it on. Make sure it powers on. If you can check the battery health percentage, check that. Check the camera. Snap a photo. Switch to video mode. Record. And that will tell you if the microphones are working, because obviously you will hear sound in the video playback. Make sure the cameras are working. Switch between, if it's got a 3-camera setup or a 2-camera setup, switch in between those modes. Go ultra wide. And go normal. Hang on real quick. check if she's okay. Anyways, so yeah, just test everything out. So that's what I was doing with the watch. I powered it on to make sure it turned on and that, you know, it had battery and stuff. Let me see. Hang on. And yeah, it turned on. Check the back of it because you can tell the difference. Because some people are sketchy like that. Sorry, I know I'm getting messages. I'm like trying to multitask, but some people would, you know, say they got a Pixel Watch 3 and have the box for it, but probably put like a Pixel Watch 2 in there. So you gotta, like, you know, check out the back, make sure, you know, what the sensors look like compared to the Pixel Watch 2. I'll just say Watch 2 or Watch 1. So I was doing all that. All the bands were in there, you know, the normal straps, and then they had the additional long one for bigger wrists, and all the booklets, the charging cable in there. And so, yeah, I bought it for $75. So that video is going to be dropping later on this afternoon. Just a quick unboxing of it, you know. I'll do a review about how I feel. I know it's not the brand new Pixel Watch 4, but it's the Pixel Watch 3. And, yeah, it'll get Wear OS 6. It'll get all those nice treatments, all those, you know, security updates, UI updates, feature updates. So, yeah. And, you know, I'll rock this for the next couple of years. You know, the Pixel Watch 1 was a very good watch in my opinion. No, this is not the 45 millimeter. This is the 41 millimeter, which is perfect for me because I have all these Pixel watch bands and stuff like that. Getting the 45 millimeter one would mean I'd have to get like a whole bunch of different watch bands if I wanted to customize it, because, you know, I have like a clear band that the watch fits into it. And then of course, you know, the Team Pixel sent me this Coral Active watch band that I had on my Pixel. They sent me two. They sent one and I was like, I didn't get it. And then they sent another one out, and then that package that went missing came, so I got the watch band, and I told them, I got the watch band, thank you so much, you know, for the gift. And then like 3 days later, the other one that they had sent out as a replacement came, and then they emailed me and they were like, well, you got two, so just keep both. I was like, okay, you know. So that was actually pretty cool. So I actually have one for my you know, Pixel Watch 3, and then I have another same color, same, you know, sports band for the Pixel Watch 1. And yeah, so when I do like the review, I'll tell you guys what I think about the watch, about the accessories and all that, because I do have some opinions about the accessories, like i.e. the charging cable. So that will come in the video as well. Well, let's see, where are we at on the poll? Still on the same, 80% yes and 20% no. Now, if you guys did catch the vacation video, just for some context for people to understand, like, you know, because I've been traveling a lot more to go see my dad, and you know, I'm pretty sure my dad won't care if I tell you guys the story. So, my dad believes wholeheartedly that he was given the you know, like a peek into the future. So for context, my dad was in the United States Air Force. Okay, he retired from the U.S. Air Force. During Vietnam, he was stationed out in Thailand. That's how he met my mother. And you know, while he was there, he came across like a fortune teller. So the fortune teller starts talking to my dad. Starts telling my dad's future and whatnot. You know what I mean? All in good fun, right? My dad's just like all in good fun. But then the guy decides to tell my dad that, you know, that he sees that my dad, you know, lives until 75 years old. My dad's like, okay, he's a little weirded out, but he's like, okay, you know, still all in good fun. Fortune teller, you know, just entertain them, let them do their thing. The guy is able to say key things that he should not know because, you know, of course, this guy was born and raised in Thailand. So, you know, he's from there. He's more than likely never traveled outside of Thailand. And even if he did, it would be absolutely insane for him to be able to pick out these key specific things that would let him know that he can kind of see things. What those things were was this guy was able to describe my grandmother to my dad. So my dad's mother. And by that, he even knew her natural hair color. Because my grandmother, I guess she dyed her hair back in the day. And so she never really had her natural hair color for a long time. So you would really have to know her in order to know what her natural hair color was. And there were just other specific things about my dad's past this guy was able to actually say. Not vague things like, oh, you bumped your knee and you skinned the top of it. Because, that's a pretty vague thing. You would skin your knee running and playing, falling down or whatever, whatnot. But if this guy can tell you like, yeah, you had surgery in your left knee because, you tore the ligaments in your kneecap, that's pretty damn precise. And that's how precise this guy was about my dad's past. So ever since then, it stuck with my dad that he's going to pass at 75. Now, my dad is 75 years old currently at this time. And it's not until next year he turns 76. So because my dad kind of believes in that, he's not putting too much thought into it now. But like back in the day when I was young, I was like, 8, 9 years old. My dad would always tell us like, yeah, fortune teller told me I'm going to pass away at 75. So it's like, okay, he talked about it a lot back then. Now he doesn't really put too much energy towards it because he's not trying to go. You know what I mean? He doesn't want to leave my stepmom. Definitely doesn't want to leave us yet. Because my youngest siblings don't have kids of their own just yet. So he's met his grandkids from my older sister. He's met his grandkids from me. He has no grandkids from his younger kids. So I'm pretty sure he's holding on to that. So, we've been doing a lot of visiting just in case. Is the reason why like this trip in particular was more for my older sister. Because when our mother passed away, like my older sister and my mother passed away, we weren't in Thailand for that. We weren't there physically to be by her side in her last moments. Like the last moments that my sister and I had was the day before because we video called because both my aunts were taking care of my mom. So they have Facebook, so we would video call them like every other day just to see how they're doing. My sister would send them some money to help them out, with, getting food, getting medicine for my mom, whatever they needed. And I remember, because it, was kind of like why, for a while I held some guilt. I held some guilt in me because we had talked to my mom the day before. So my mom wasn't really talking at that point. She couldn't talk much or whatever. She had suffered another stroke, so like all movement just went out the window. My mom had 4 strokes before passing away. And, so it was October 27th here. October 26th. No, it was October 27th there, October 26th here, because they're a day ahead. Anyways, so it was the 25th here that we talked to them, and then I said that, I told them, like, yeah, I'll get on a call with them the next day. And so the 26th rolls around, which is the 27th over there, and I for some reason was just tired that day. Like that day I was just absolutely just feeling drained and tired. So I didn't get on a video call. What up, Titus? I didn't get up on a video call to call my aunt to have her put the phone by my mom so my mom could hear my voice. And the next morning, I get a message from my sister, and she says, Mom passed. As soon as I read that message, I just broke down. Like, sometimes people think that people are dramatic because they watch a lot of movies. But, sometimes those things you see in movies are actual natural reactions that, that people have. Like, my knees buckled, and I fell to the ground, and I just started crying. Because, I mostly grew up with my dad. So, I'm more towards my dad, but it doesn't mean that, I loved one over the other. It's just that my mom, she wasn't as stable as my dad was. So she wanted me and my sister to be in a better, situation. So she had my dad have custody of me and my sister. So you know, uh yeah, it kind of hurt because there was like I felt like there was a lot of missed time with my mother and me. Um, so I cried and everything like that, but we didn't get to be there. So this time around, because of my dad, like I told my sister, she took my mom's passing the hardest because those two were always on opposite ends. What the heck is going on? Oh, it's the dump truck. Yeah, so those two were always on opposite ends. So when my mom passed, like a lot of the past stuff that my sister felt or had guilt of or whatever, um, you know, she was feeling it, and so I was like okay, Jesus, all that noise. So it was more of just like